Este es un gran video y hay algunas cosas que necesito decirles antes de que le adelanten, así que pongan mucha atención a esto que voy a decir. Creo que muchos de ustedes no dimensionan el tamaño de este video y lo que representa para muchas de las personas que en serio tengan el contexto completo de lo que es Gears of War. Gracias a todos por permitirme hacer este pedazo de video, podcast, como le quieran decir, con el creador original de Gears of War. Hace más de año y medio, cuando Gears of War no estaba en un buen momento y no había tanto hype alrededor de esta franquicia porque no teníamos noticias del futuro, hice por primera vez una colaboración con Bleszinski, el creador de todo esto, y tenemos ya un video en el canal donde pueden checar todo lo que se habló para que puedan entender un poco más de contexto de lo que vamos a hablar durante esta conversación. También pienso volver a utilizar la introducción de ese video porque sé que muchos de ustedes no alcanzaron a verlo cuando se subió en aquella época, así que quedó épica y les va a gustar. Vamos a sacarle pollo al repollo. También otros dos videos que tienen que checar para que puedan entender mucho de lo que se habla en estas dos conversaciones y terminan viendo también la primera, es el video de mis viajes alrededor del mundo, donde la primera hora es en Estados Unidos, donde fui a la casa del creador de Gears of War. Vale bastante la pena checar ese video si no lo has hecho en tu vida. ¿Qué estás haciendo si eres fan de Gears of War? Créemelo, ese video se subió cuando no había hype por Gears of War y la verdad se perdió por ahí en el internet y muy pocos tuvieron el privilegio de verlo, así que es momento de que vayan a checarlo y de hecho comenten en ese video que vienen de este para poder darles corazón allá. Y el siguiente video es el primer documental de la historia detrás del desarrollo de la primera trilogía de Gears of War, que es el primer capítulo de varios que voy a hacer alrededor de los próximos meses, donde también voy a hablar del desarrollo de Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Gears Judgment, Gears 4, Gears 5, Gears Tactics, Gears Day y Gears 6 cuando sea que eso venga. Pero el primero ya está disponible y cuenta parte de la historia detrás de todo lo que fue Epic Games, Gears of War, Bleszinski, y sinceramente van a disfrutar más todas estas conversaciones. Dicho eso, espero que puedan checar ese contenido y espero que disfruten demasiado esta conversación porque sinceramente es un privilegio para mí poder traerles este contenido. Pero antes de empezar, he de decirles que este video es patrocinado por... Te presento la nueva Omen 16, diseñada para quienes exigen lo mejor. Ya sea que estés compitiendo en torneos, explorando mundos en shooters, la Omen 16 cuenta con una Nvidia GeForce RTX 4070 con 8 GB de memoria dedicada. Ofrece poderosos procesadores Intel Core i9 de 13ª generación que brinda el máximo desempeño gracias a sus 24 núcleos y 36 MB de Intersmart Caché. La Omen 16 incluye las mejoras de Omen Gaming Hub con las que puedes experimentar un 10% de mejora en tus cuadros por segundo, gracias al Omen Optimizer que aumentará el rendimiento de juego para lo que decidas jugar. Incluso para tus partidas más exigentes, Omen 16 cuenta con un gran diseño de ventilación cuadrangular que ofrece el flujo de aire en un 34%. La Omen Transcend 16 ofrece un HDR 1000 extremo para detalles increíbles, colores brillantes y realistas, con una pantalla FHD de 16.1 pulgadas y una tasa de refresco de 165 Hz. Esta potente laptop cuenta con el primer monitor Omen Mini LED que te permitirá tener imágenes asombrosas para los juegos o las películas. Para que tus sesiones de juego se escuchen tan reales e inmersivas, Omen 16 cuenta con un sistema de sonido Bang & Olufsen que además incluye opciones de personalización como Light Studio, el cual te permite una combinación ideal de 16.8 millones de colores y animaciones a tu disposición para el teclado. Omen 16 te permite contar con el máximo control sobre ajustes del equipo con Omen Gaming Hub, plataforma en la que podrás tener acceso a opciones como la temperatura de la laptop, la velocidad de los ventiladores, control manual del rendimiento de desempeño del GPU y CPU, y más. La Omen 16 está diseñada para adaptarse a cualquier momento y a cualquier lugar, siendo delgada y bastante ligera. Esta laptop cuenta con todo lo que necesitas para realizar tus proyectos. Descubre una nueva dimensión de juego sin comprometer la movilidad con la nueva Omen 16 por HP.
No esperes toda una vida para poder hacer algo especial.
My name is Bleszinski. The game is Gears of War. Let's check it out.
Lo que estás a punto de ver es la primera conversación o entrevista que Cliff Bleszinski tiene con una persona de la comunidad de habla hispana de Gears of War y más específicamente con un mexicano. Esta producción fue posible gracias a Hey Lomsi, Capu, Sergio PR0, Dana Seasons, Edward Crush, Sebastián Yapur y el Gamer Wicho. Esperamos que sea de su agrado. Antes de comenzar, permítanme darles una visión y contexto breve de quién es y quién ha sido Cliff Bleszinski más allá de Gears of War. Clifford Bleszinski es uno de los programadores de videojuegos más exitosos de su generación, siendo una de las personas más valiosas para la industria de su tiempo, a pesar de ser muy conocido por su éxito más grande, junto al antiguo Epic Games con Gears of War. La realidad es que este sujeto tiene una historia interesante. Él comenzó a hacer videojuegos cuando tenía 11 años, convirtiendo sus dibujos en píxeles en la computadora de su familia. Creció durante los 80s y fue ganador de una de las primeras competencias en la historia de videojuegos de la Nintendo World Championship en Boston, ganando la mayor puntuación posible en el juego de Mario. La industria siguió creciendo y casi saliendo de la preparatoria, él fue contratado por Epic Games junto a Tim Sweeney, creando su primer juego con ellos, conocido como Jazz Jackrabbit, y tiempo después, un gran éxito conocido como Unreal Tournament, uno de los primeros juegos de disparos en primera persona que le permitían a la gente competir alrededor del mundo. A Cliff le gustaba la atención de la gente y de los medios, haciéndose rápidamente un ícono reconocible en su industria, como la persona que ponían a dar las conferencias y anuncios importantes cuando lo ameritaba, lo que lo llevó a estar en grandes shows de los medios de entretenimiento e informativos masivos de Estados Unidos, como el show de Jimmy Fallon. Para el año 2006, Epic Games lanzaría su proyecto que a la fecha sigue siendo el más ambicioso, Unreal Engine, motor gráfico que Tim Sweeney lanzaría al mundo para que grandes empresas lo utilizaran para poder crear contenido digital. Y para demostrar su poder, dieron a conocer al mundo un juego que revolucionaría el concepto de juego de disparos en tercera persona y que sería un parteaguas en la generación de videojuegos del Xbox 360 e hizo lo que Halo logró por el Xbox original, vendiendo más de 3 millones de copias alrededor del mundo en sus primeros días de lanzamiento y potenciando las ventas del Xbox 360. Rápidamente comenzó el auge, y ya conocemos todo lo que pasó en su momento con Gears of War 2 y 3, y la trágica decaída de la franquicia luego de Gears of War Judgment, que fue el primero que no tuvo a Bleszinski como parte del equipo de desarrollo. Luego de esta etapa en su vida, él se retiró de Epic Games con una buena cantidad de dinero luego de la venta de Microsoft de esta propiedad intelectual, y decidió probar suerte solo, emprendiendo su propio estudio de videojuegos, Bosky, que hizo algunos títulos que, si bien no fueron un éxito en su momento, fueron grandes intentos por competir con las bestias de aquellos años como Overwatch o PUBG, haciendo Lawbreakers y Radical Hates. Su estudio no tuvo mucho éxito y quebró, pero aprendió mucho de intentarlo y no quedarse con las ganas de hacerlo. Desde hace tiempo está casado con su esposa Lauren, que se dedica a escribir y a hacer streams en Twitch, y viven en Carolina del Norte, donde pasa la mayor parte de su tiempo viviendo lo mejor de la vida, disfrutando de los negocios que puso como inversiones en sus tiempos dorados con un restaurante en donde le gusta ir a tener buenas noches de karaoke con su esposa y amigos. Se hizo productor de Broadway. Recientemente entró a los medios escritos sacando su libro autobiográfico conocido como Control Freak, y hace algunos días lanzó su cómic sobre un perro superhéroe llamado Scrapper. Este es el contexto que necesitan para entender todo lo que se hablará durante la plática del día de hoy. Hay algunos temas que por razones que no se mencionarán, no se pueden tratar durante lo que estás a punto de escuchar. Así que si tenías una pregunta y no se pudo hacer, no es porque a Wicho no se le ocurrió preguntar, sino porque no era momento de dar esas respuestas. La conversación estará en inglés porque Cliff no habla español, pero nos encargamos de subtitular todo para ustedes. Gracias a todos por estar aquí. Wicho me pidió que les dijera que está muy agradecido con todos por permitirle llegar a crear este tipo de contenido para toda la comunidad de Gears. En algún momento dijo que si lograba esto se retiraría de la comunidad, pero lo dijo sin pensar que pasaría rápido. Así que no se asusten, todavía no se va. Maldición. Aún nos falta ver qué pasará con Gear 6 y... Oh, esperen. Parece ser que están aquí. Sin nada más que decir por el momento, disfruten de esto. Los dejo con Wicho y Cliff Bleszinski.
They're seeing you right now, so you can say hi, by the way. You can say hola.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Yeah.
¿Dónde está cerveza?
How you been, man? A long time no see.
I'm good, man. I'm keeping busy. I'm about to go get my next tattoo. At about 6:30 is my appointment. And yeah, it's going to be the Michelangelo quote, "I'm still learning," right in my front arm.
Oh, really? Finally.
Yeah. I'm going to start looking like that guy from Memento, you know, with all the fucking tattoos all over me.
You know, this is kind of like weird to me. Well, not weird, like contrasting. Because last time we had a call, I don't know if you remember, it was like almost a year and a half ago. And we had like a big contrast on kind of our relationship, you know, like I remember that you teased me about that tattoo, for example, you know, and now we're like with some experiences in our background right now, you know, like last memory I have from you is in Vegas, we getting crazy, and it's like really cool days.
That whole Vegas trip was a shit show. Vegas is just so spread out that it just, they want you to keep you in one of those casinos and want you to gamble. And I fucking hate that town. I really can't stand it. And so, but looks like Lauren is dragging me to TwitchCon again. I think it's in September. But this time at least it's in San Diego, which I do love San Diego. I mean, Lauren and I got married out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got married at the San Diego Safari Park.
We might see each other there then, like again.
Yeah, no, it'd be great to hang out.
Yeah, it'll be great.
You know, go see some big old titties in our face.
It was a great experience, you know, like I was having a dystopian experience in that strip club with you, you know, like we all were like, what the fuck's happening here, you know, like I was not expecting to live this when I was like 10 years old, you know, so.
Well, I mean, for those watching, you know, my wife and I don't do the nudie bar thing like that often, right? It's just like maybe once every year or two, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm prepared to spend money. And so, you know, we got the bottle service, you know, the girls show up with like the lights. It used to be sparklers, but fire hazard. And, you know, buying my friends lap dances and everything like that. And, you know, Lauren and I like finding a girl that we think is cute. And then like, you know, if you get a couple's lap dance, spoiler, the girl, your girl gets more attention than you do, which makes it hotter. So now I'm sounding like a total creeper. But it was fun. I mean, if everybody is on the same page, it's fun. And there's so much more to that story that I can't really go into right now. But it's one of those things that I respect Twitch. I respect everybody that Twitch streams. My wife is Twitch streaming right now at twitch.tv/L337.
She's streaming right now?
Yeah, she's doing her, on Sunday she does her cosplay streams. She's actually crafting Anya from Gears 3.
I have to tell you before we start this conversation about Gears of War, because that's what people want to listen. Like, I want
Give the
to...
people what they want.
I will, definitely. Last time they were like, okay, you gave us a lot of philosophy, but where the fuck is Gear 6, you know? And I was like, dude, we were supposed to have a deep conversation that will let you something for your life, and they were not appreciating that, you know? But just, I wanted to rectify something that I told you last time I saw you, like, thank you for your job, and it's been great to know you in person, all the experiences I got to live with you during the past year. It was amazing, and it's something that probably is in the highlights of my life so far. So thank you for that, by the way.
I'm very, very flattered.
Yeah. I said that, but we were very drunk at the moment.
There's the saying in vino et veritas, in wine is truth.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a reason why, you know, people who do karaoke, sometimes they can only do it if they've had like a beer or two, right? Because, you know, alcohol gives you that liquid courage, you know, same thing, you know, when I was young and single and I'd see a pretty girl at the bar, you know, I'd have to, you know, pound a beer or two and then be like, how's it going? You know, that kind of thing. It's one of those things that, you know, just for me to know that I've affected people in such a great way. You know, I tweeted recently today, that somebody's well, first off, people are kind of remastering Lawbreakers. There is actually...
I saw, yeah.
Which really makes me happy. And then also there's a team that's gunning to try and get Radical Heights up and going.
Okay.
They have the map where you can run around the map and everything like that. And for me, you know, when I have my studio, I think I mentioned this last time, and it crumbles, and there's all these YouTube hit pieces on me, you know, the rise and fall of Cliffy B.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bitches, I'm still here. I'm still making stuff, you know, like I'm not dead yet. And so, you know, like I always say, even Will Smith had Wild Wild West, right? And so it's the thing where, you know, I thought those were really, really good games. And the fact that there's a community behind them that believes in them, and it's bringing them back. Lunch my heart. Sorry, burping up lunch. But back to Gears.
Yeah.
So, in the give the people what they want category, I think when you look at Gears 4 and 5, I think Kate and JD and Dell are good characters. I think they're solid. But I think for whatever reason, they didn't resonate as much as the original Delta Squad with the hardcore Gears fans, right? And they seemed a little bit, for lack of a better term, soft, and people want that like Marcus growl. They want the Baird cynicism. They want the Carmine's heads exploding, right? And I think the decision that the Coalition made to go with E-Day and to do a prequel like that is utterly fucking brilliant. And it's, again, in the category.
You need to tell me something.
What?
Did you see this coming?
I did not. Honestly, I thought they were gonna close out the second trilogy with Gears 6, which apparently they're working on. So cool, fine. They still haven't gone the direction I want to with the Locusts, but we'll get around to that. But I think when you think about E-Day as kind of the Pearl Harbor for the COG, right? It's like, you look at the COG, they just, even in that very, very great trailer, where you can see, the war's over in the newspaper, you can see the welcome home banner, and then you see Marcus struggling, which what I'm assuming is his first encounter with a drone. And, then eventually, popping its head, and then, the shot of the neck stump, reminding people like this game is gory. The franchise is gory, right?
It was so hard for me, like, not believing that you were not part of this, because this was so old school, like it was, I could smell your job and the old Epic team there, like it was like, what the actual fuck? Like they were lying to me. Like this looks like something that the original people did, like, I don't know. Well, they captured the essence of the
vibe, right?
Yeah.
And but in the words of my Twitter, we've been over this.
Yeah. I know.
How do you say that in Espanol?
I mean, I will tell you the rude way of saying it, right? With like cursing, okay?
Yeah.
It'll be something like dejen de chingar, okay?
Chingar. You gotta roll the R's. Chingar. Yeah, but like it was amazing, I was reading like the interviews, and they were saying that they were actually like having all this inspiration from the first original trailer, from the Mad World trailer, and I think they actually did it pretty well. And I was going to ask you, what do you think about like the designs? Like I think, for example, Marcus, they changed his face in order to look kind of similar to JD somehow. And the Locust, for example, it's the first time we see something like this, like, I don't know, there's people that are like contrasting opinions, but pretty much it has been a very positive way of seeing like the change of the way the Locusts are being seen right now, Did you like? I mean, towards the later Gears games, Marcus was just, there's a reason we made a gun called the Mulcher, because Marcus just mulching his way through just locust after locust and then Lambent, right? Became a kind of like the Doom guy.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those things that need to remind people that the Locusts are strong and they're terrifying. They were modeled after the Urkai from Lord of the Rings, and that to see Marcus get his ass kicked, and the fact that the way they depicted those emergence holes, right, like with the red glow to imply that it's hell, which I thought was a great art direction touch. And then the music that was being played, the Mad World ad was always about the juxtaposition, the contrast between what was going on and the sad music, as opposed to the Doom theme, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is the music they were playing was actually, I'm 99% sure, was the music when Dom had to put down Maria, and that contrast worked incredibly well. And then when Marcus is about to fall and you see the hand reach, I'm getting goosebumps just even saying this. It's kind of masturbatory to even like get goosebumps about a franchise you were largely responsible for. But to see that hand go down, then to realize it's Dom, saving Marcus, whereas years later, Dom saves a Delta Squad with his sacrifice. And a little bit of a few of the chords of Mad World kick in. It was just like boom, and the fact that it's Gears of War and the giant E-Day logo, right? Like, because it reminds me of The Boys, the way you watch The Boys TV series on Amazon, and it's just like The Boys.
Yeah.
And it was very impactful. The E-Day looked like it was hastily done. Of course, it's in red. And I think the potential for set pieces alone of just, your average civilian sitting, as we showed in the original Gears, they're sitting like an outdoor coffee shop, very European style, and then the Corpser comes up, right? And to show, your average human, the impact of war on your average person, and, how it's one, humanity was finally done fighting in the pendulum wars, and then all of a sudden this new threat comes from below, which is humanity's past hunting them and coming back to bite them in the ass. So I think there's a ton of potential there. And hey, also, I'm happy that, John DiMaggio and Carlos Ferro, get more great work to, use their acting chops.
I mean, for us, John DiMaggio and Carlos Ferro are not that important in the Latin American community, because we definitely never listen their voices, like for us, our heroes are like the guy that I show you in the video, that he's a legend in all Latin America. Like, he can just step in a mall and just start talking, and everyone will look him like, what the fuck, is he Marcus? Like everyone, literally everyone. And he was shocked the day that I gave him like the Years of War 1 that you sang for me. Like I gave it to him, and he was very thankful for your job and all those kind of things. But as a fan, because I'm more geek than the usual people, like I'm used to listen to Marcus Phoenix in English and in Spanish, of course. So yeah, I recognized John immediately, and I was like, dude, this is kind of cool, like, I don't know, what was your experience? Because I was wondering if you saw this like in real time, or you saw this like when it was already uploaded in socials. Because for me, it was like in real time. Like, I was experiencing the Xbox Game Showcase. Actually, my reaction is all over the internet, because I was like having a really shocking time, because they left it to the end. I don't know if you saw the Xbox Game Showcase. Anyway,
I did. My wife was streaming it, and she's commenting on it. So I watched a good chunk of it, but I didn't actually catch the Gears reveal live.
Wait.
So I saw it on YouTube, like 5 minutes later.
Okay.
And, I love they say don't read the comments, but let's be honest, we all read the comments.
Yeah.
And when one of the top comments is like, "We're back, boys."
Yeah.
That's the feeling. Is like, I think, without Rod Ferguson, without myself, without Chris Pern and Lee Perry, I think Gears lost a little bit of its heart.
Definitely.
And I think whoever is responsible for it. And by the way, it's locusts. There's no such thing as locusts. Just like Lego. There's no such thing as Legos. It's just Lego, okay?
So it's just with a T.
Yeah, it's just locusts. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the thing is, like it's one of those things you wouldn't say, like, look at all those sheeps,
Okay.
Like,
In
yeah,
Spanish, it's different. I think that's why there's a confusion, because in Spanish we actually add the S. Because if you have a plural, you need to add the S.
Okay.
In Spanish.
Well, English is a fucking pain in the ass. Like,
We'll get with the canon English version, okay?
But regardless, I think the trailer had heart. That's the thing about me getting involved in like producing on Broadway, for example. Meeting with my business partner up there in New York City, and I told her, you can't fake the goosebumps. That's the whole thing with that last tattoo I got, which was laugh, think, cry.
I remember that. So yeah,
do that 3 times, or do that those things 7 days a week, you're living a good life. And it's one of those things that I love, entertainment that moves me. I love a good character arc, and the same thing with like superhero movies these days. There's so, when they get to the final third act with all the CG bullshit, I don't give a shit these days with the majority of it. And it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded, maybe I'm not, but I like stuff that moves me, and I want to make stuff that moves people.
And it's interesting, because the last year and this year, actually, I've had the opportunity to start like having a lot of trips to know the world because of my job. I don't know if I updated you about what I'm doing right now in my current situation.
You actually haven't lately, so we got some time, so lay it on me.
We need to catch up, yeah. But I mean, just as a summary, because probably we'll meet in a couple of months. There are some plans there. But just as a summary, I started being like a talent and project manager for an agency of marketing and stuff like that. So technically, I just need to go to certain events in some parts of the world and bring clients to invest in Mexico and in Canada, because I'm like the person that is in charge of Canada and Mexico and in the agency. So That's pretty much my stuff, and they send me to several places. Actually, right now I need to go to Canada like next week, to Toronto and then to Vancouver, and it's at really bad timing because no one believes me that I'm not going because of Gears to Vancouver once again. Everyone is like, come on, fucking asshole, give us information. Yeah, we know that you're going there. And of course, now I'm going there to see what's going on. You know, like I went to ring the bell and it's like, hey, dudes, I'm here. So what's next? You know, because it's been a while.
The old saying I like to say is don't die 5 miles from where you were born.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's the thing is, a friend of ours, Bricks Brie, she's become Lauren's bestie in town. She actually is one of the lead testers at Epic right now, working on, of course, Fortnite and all the other stuff they have going on. And she's a painter. She's a really good artist. And I told her, in Star Wars, Luke's on the moisture farm, and you see him like look down and look up as the two suns are setting, and the John Williams score goes and say it's called Binary Sunset. And the music swells, and Luke looks up and realizes I'm destined for more than this little farm, right? And that's the thing is I always tell people, whatever you can, find your binary sunset. Figure out your destiny. Do cool stuff and travel. Like you don't remember your Wednesday meeting in the office, but you remember the time you went to the Barcelona and had an amazing paella, right? Like that's the stuff that life's all about. It's not necessarily always about material things. It's about experiences.
Yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, what I was going to say is that since I've been traveling a lot, like last time we met, we were in Las Vegas, and after that I ended up being in Spain, then I was in Germany, then I was in Armenia, then I was in Qatar, and then I was in Brazil, right?
Jesus.
Yeah, it was like a lot of knowing tons of people and new stuff. But every single place of the world, at least one person will recognize me, or at least one person will be a fan of Gears of War. Like, everyone. Like, there was not a single place where I wouldn't see a tattoo of Gears of War. I wouldn't see, like, a brother to the end, And it was kind of cool to see that experience, because I was used to live it here in Mexico City. And, of course, it happened back in New York when I started, like, walking through the streets and all those kind of things. The way Gears of War impacted the general culture, like the pop culture in general, it's like something that I wasn't aware of. Like I was understanding it in America and in Mexico and these kind of countries, but in Europe, for example, I will never imagine that was the amount of people that was like somehow impacted from this franchise, right?
Well, I think I mentioned last time we chatted that it's I like money, obviously, but it's for people to actually get a tattoo, something you worked on.
Yeah,
like it's the most flattering thing imaginable. And the thing is in regards to like you getting recognized, me getting recognized, I think what you understand how this game is played in regards to being online and being a public figure. And the fact is you're kind of building a brand for yourself. And for me, that's actually been my problem, because I've been trying stand-up comedy recently,
How's that going? Last time we talked, you were telling me, I'm going to start writing stand-up comedy, and now you're actually doing it. So
yeah, I've done it 5 times, and I think about 1.5 times went well.
Okay.
And it's comedy's there. The thing is that's why I'm still learning on my arm today, because I've learned that video games are about iteration. Comedy's about iteration. The restaurant industry is about iteration. Everything in life is an alpha and a beta. Your personal relationships are about iteration. If somebody's negative in your life, just fucking drop them, right? And like I married the first girl I ever dated, who ironically taught me we learn balance by falling, because she taught yoga, right? And now she's on her 3rd marriage. I'll just leave that right there. And the thing is when I got with Lauren, I was like, I like A, B, C. I will not put up with X, Y, Z. And she's like, boom, we're good. And come August 4th, we'll have been married for 12 years. And so, if what was the Aaliyah song? If at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. Dust yourself off and try again, right? Like, learn. And they say in Silicon Valley, fail early, fail often. And,
yeah.
I'm like, as much as, I'm excited that people are remastering and resurrecting Lawbreakers and Radical Heights. And as much as it bummed me out when the studio cratered, I learned a lot of valuable lessons from that. And that's the attitude to take with life. And I think it was in the Gears 3 credits where I said, success is going from failure to failure without a lack of enthusiasm. Like just try new stuff, meet new people, travel as you're finding out, right? I hope they put you in business class too, by the way.
Yeah. I mean,
he's biting his tongue so fucking hard right now.
I have to tell that I'm very glad of hearing like what you're mentioning about lawbreakers and all those kind of things. Sometimes I don't know how you receive, like, I talk with some people that have this issue of creating something that it's so big to the point that the other jobs that they've done doesn't have like the same recognition that it should, because the main job that they knew, it's like the only thing they see in them, right? I mean,
I'll forever be tied to Gears, and I accept that.
You don't get bothered by that, right? That's something I kind of makes me, I don't know, like I don't want to tie your personality to Gears when I make these kind of videos. Of course, it has to do with Gears of War because I'm the Gears of War guy as well. So it's just like I always like to spread people that you have like a lot of other projects, like Scrapper, for example, and those kind of things are amazing stuff, Yeah, that's definitely amazing.
One of my heroes has become a friend of mine, is John Romero, right? Doom, Quake, the co-creator of the first-person fucking shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was the original breakout Rockstar game designer, and I modeled my career after that. I'm like, I want to be like that guy, right? But Romero's so smart because what he does on all his social pages and his interviews and in his public speaking is he embraces his past, he acknowledges it, but then he also points people towards his future. And that's a technique that I've learned. That's why I did the memoir. It's like, and it's so funny depending on a person's generation, like, you're the Gears guy. I'm like, I'm also the Unreal Tournament, Jazz Jackrabbit guy. I also worked in Shadow Complex, Infinity Blade, Bulletstorm. Like, the list goes on and on and on. Sometimes people will try and troll me on Twitter, and I send a link to my mobygames.com. It's just the IMDb for video games. And I'm like, yeah, dude, 25 years of work here, motherfucker. Call me when you do something. And that's why I also, like, if I see an independent developer on my social feed, I'll like quote tweet if it looks cool. I'm like, this looks really, really good, because I just love indie games these days, right? Like, I don't play AAA at all. I play just the fun little things because they can take more risks, because they're not spending $100+ million game development alone to make it, let alone another 100 million to go to influencers and marketing during sports games, right? It's just I'm kind of well past that. I'm dying to know how much the next Grand Theft Auto costs. Like, how much? It's got to be at least $500 million.
Are you gonna play it?
Yeah, I will. I mean, GTA is the ultimate sandbox game. I'll never forget my old boss, Mark Green, who's done quite well. He's friends with Dave Jones, who made the game Lemmings, and then went on to make the first couple Grand Theft Auto games. And I remember, like, Mark handed me a CD, because in the first Grand Theft Auto, the top-down one, depending on which car you carjacked, a different song would play. So if you get a lowrider, it would play like hip-hop. If you get a pickup truck, it would play country music. And it was all well-produced, really solid music. And that was kind of the blueprint. Shut up! I love my dogs, but man, they try my patience. And they always bark when I'm doing, like, Zooms and interviews and shit. And so the thing is that was kind of the template. And that's when, Rockstar came in and they were like, okay, we can do this in 3D. And that's the same thing as, having made Jazz Jackrabbit back in the day. If I were to ever do a spiritual sequel to Jazz Jackrabbit, it would be in the vein of the old PlayStation 1 game, Jumping Flash, and do it first-person shooter with, that little rabbit in your ears kind of hanging in your view and things like that.
Of course.
But, I am working on a new game idea. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. We'll see. I'm talking to a team right now. And, one of the leads will actually be Mexican. So.
Oh, interesting.
Here's the thing. There's this big controversy going on right now about DEI, diversity, I think it's equality and inclusion, right?
Okay.
The whole controversy about that company called Sweet Baby Inc., right? And I think, you can have diversity, but don't pander, right? Like, you don't want to do like, yay, girl boss, girl power, right? And, you look at like The Boys as a TV show, and they do a great job of it.
You love that show, right?
I love it, man.
It's amazing.
I read the comics years ago.
It's amazing, yeah.
I cosplayed as Homelander for
I remember. Yeah.
I went around going like,
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
and Lauren was Starlight because she does a perfect Starlight. And, we got recognized a fair amount at Halloween. But the thing about a town like Raleigh, which is relatively small, like one year, Lauren was Barbarella, Jane Fonda.
Okay.
Like chainmail armor she made herself, handmade. I was Flash Gordon. 1960s, 70s references, right?
Yeah.
We only got recognized by like one hipster bartender, right? Because it is what it is. Raleigh is growing. And the joke that I made doing stand-up is Raleigh's had a ton of growth the last 10 years of 6-story generic ass buildings. And it's like they just copy and paste from Charlotte, and it's just, I appreciate architecture. Gears of War had that kind of European architecture because much as you're traveling a lot lately, I went to London and I went to the top of St. Paul's Cathedral and I just saw London splayed out in front of me, and I didn't want to do the kind of brutalism architecture, the kind of claustrophobic stuff of like, aliens and Alien and Halo. I wanted to do something that was beautiful and then fuck it all up. And that's where the term destroyed beauty came from. And that's why Gears is at its best when it looks like London or Rome has fallen, kind of like represent a metaphor for the fall of an empire of the cog, by a chaotic force from the outside. I teach a college course in this shit at this point.
I love the way they describe that part of this. Like, I was reading an interview to Matt Searcy, that is the creative director, I think, right now, or producer. I don't know. I remember that his position in the studio, but he was saying something like, we're going to show you a very beautiful world, and then we're going to destroy it in front of you. Like, it was like, that's a really nice way
I think my dick just got hard.
Yeah, right? I was actually, I would like, last time we had a very philosophical conversation, and people, there were several people in YouTube that they were like thanking it. I don't know if you ever saw the video when it was uploaded. People were like, dude, thank you for all this advice, like the fireball stuff you explained. People got really a lot of inspiration from your words last time. And I think we had a deep vision on the way you see the world. I started being a person that is like, my philosophy is like, go behind ideas, not people, right? Because ideas are going to stay there forever. So right now, I would like to switch this conversation into a two guys that love Gears of War conversation, virgin lore, geek conversation. Okay, that's okay. I would like you to speculate with me for a bit about what do you think about this game, what will you expect, and some other things. I would like to start giving you like the first idea that I was telling people, and I would like you to contrast this and see if you like this idea. Okay. You know Gears of War, you like Gears of War, you like the lore, all those kind of things, right? So I was telling people that this is like a very interesting stuff, because I think it's an opportunity to do two big things actually. They can start with Gears of War E-Day. I will say that they can launch it on 2025, right? And then on 2026, it'll be like 20 years of the whole franchise, right? And I remember that the Emergence Day was the marketing campaign for the first Gears of War. So for 2026, it'll be like a year from Gears of War E-Day launch. So it'll be like a big update. And they can take out and they can launch the Gears of War movie for the 20th anniversary, right? That's like my first idea. Then on 2027, they can do like the Netflix TV show.
I think it's animated, right?
Yeah, it's animated, and it's like it sounds really good idea at the end. And then on 2028, they can give us Gears of War 2 Ultimate Edition for like the 20th anniversary of Gears of War 2, right? And that gives you like a whole advantage of stuff, because, for example, if you follow that timeline, they can create, for example, Gears of War E-Day like a multiplayer-based game that they can get updates through the campaigns they are starting to take out, and they can just like move forward with that multiplayer, and they don't need to make a new multiplayer for every single game. So then my idea was like, okay, so they can continue with those kind of things, and then for like 3 years after that, they can come out with Gears of War 3 Ultimate Edition, then they can come out with Gears of War Judgment Ultimate Edition. That, by the way,
they got to do the Marcus Phoenix collection,
and then they can spread it like a Marcus Phoenix collection with the last game that will be like Gear 6, because at the time it'll be like 10 years after Gears 5, you know. And I think the card that they are going to play is something like all the nostalgic stuff and vibes that they had with Gears of War 3, the original marketing, that Brothers to the End stuff, and like the end stuff. They can close completely well like 2 trilogies with new versions of it, and we can have like Gears of War until 2035, probably 36 actually. It will be like the 30 years, you know. Like I'm seeing something like that as a possibility.
I'll probably be dead by then.
Me too, actually. That's something that I don't really like about that idea, but there's a lot of possibilities there, because for example, Gears of War Judgment have these tons of issues of, for example, lore. You know, like Gears of War Judgment is 30 days after the E-Day, right? And they have Lancers, and the Lancer was created in the comics like 1 year after E-Day. So they have like a lot of stuff that it's not correct in that game, and that's why people hate it back in the Gears of War Judgment.
Gears Judgment was not, I think I mentioned last time, was not the game that I wanted to make.
Yeah, definitely.
And I barely worked on it. I was busy trying to get other IP going. I was, you know, noodling with some of the designers on Fortnite and whatnot. And it's one of those things that, the thing is you gotta, you know, keep your IP, your world in the zeitgeist, in people's brains, right? And that's the thing is, you know, like it's been so long since Gears kind of popped up that people were hungry. Again, people want to be fighting fucking robots, okay? They want to be fighting, you know, monsters. You know, Gears was always about the monster under the bed, right? And, you know, and I remember I went to the Riz's house from the Wu-Tang Clan, and I demoed Gears from him. And I'm like, yeah, this is a game about monsters in the underground. And he's like, oh, like Chud, which was that 80s movie they were called Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers, right?
Yeah.
Very B-list movie. But I'm like, yeah, man, it's like Chud. Then he played some beats for me. It was fucking cool. Should have smoked weed together. Didn't get around to it. But anyway, that's the thing is, like, the world moves these days, especially with the internet, with TikTok and YouTube and Twitch at 9,000 miles an hour. And you gotta strike while that fucking iron is hot. And now we're at the point with Gears where it's been long enough that, as my brother always says, nostalgia is the most powerful drug. And going back to, the thing is I think E-Day is going to be incredibly impactful for Gears fans. They also have to make it impactful for new Gears fans. But also, Titanic wasn't any less impactful because you knew the boat sank. In fact, knowing the boat was going to sink actually added to it. And so there was actually one of the songs we used in one of the Gears trailers was like, you already know how this ends. And to know, you know, I'm dying to see more time with Dom and Maria. And then knowing how that eventually ends. It's just going to be fucking gut-wrenching.
I was reading one of your comments that you were saying that you like to see a scene where Dom is running after the Locust because he knows they are going to wrap Maria, right? So it's like...
Yeah. Well, apparently in one of the... Again, as somebody who was largely responsible for creating this world,
It's Joshua, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, just keeping track of, you know, like what was written in the books versus the comics and this, that, and the other. Apparently Maria like ran off after the kids died.
Yeah, like 1 year after the E-Day is when Maria is wrapped. So yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is like when J.J. Abrams took on Star Trek, he's like, no, we're just gonna wipe the slate clean. It is possible to drown under your own lore, even though there's always gonna be some guys like, actually, in this book, on passage 46, it says this. Like, as a creative, that can just completely stifle you. You know, to some extent, Star Wars is suffering from that recently. The Acolyte is kind of getting really controversial opinions about it right now on the YouTube and whatnot. And there's a reason why, you know, I love a fresh start. You know, and that's why, you know, it's been so fun to work on Scrapper and, you know, create something. I may have mentioned last time, you know, I'm not a religious guy, but I believe if God was the creator, the best way we could honor them is by creating. For some people, that's farting out kids. For me, it's making worlds and, you know, getting fans, and then, you know, getting recognized like once a week in public is fun. It's the best kind of fame, dude.
By the way, I have to tell you this because you inspired this philosophy that I got like a year and a half ago. I'm kind of proud of saying this. I finally got my definition of goth. Okay, that's a hard thing to say, right? And part of it had to do with like a lot of things, and I had like a good memory of what you said right now, but in the last interview, right? So at some point, I started defining my own version of the definition that I experienced as goth, right? So for me, just like as an Easter egg of this stream, like I decided that if God exists, like I need to not need him in order for him to treat me well, because he has a lot of stuff to do, because he's crafting a lot of stuff, because that's what he does. So what I need to do is like make his job less harder and stop needing him. And in order I stop needing him more, like he will like me more. You know, like that's like the way I think things work better. Like just let him.
The old saying, there's no atheists in a foxhole.
Right? Wait, what?
There's no atheists in a foxhole.
Yeah.
You know, the whole like, you know, World War II thing and things like that. And, you know, I'm not a big fan of religion.
Yeah, me neither.
That's why Gears really didn't touch upon it much.
I think that actually,
you know, every religion is created by man.
Yeah.
And you can't trust man because, you know, you get these mega churches, you know, you get these, you know, guys, you know, with these huge churches and give, and they don't have to pay taxes and all that stuff. It's just,
yeah, of course.
It's all very, very corrupt. And I just, you know, if you have kids and they want to get religious, let them choose their own religion. Don't force it on them. Don't indoctrinate them. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, the right wing in the world wants to control women and force them to have babies so they can grow their ranks. It's that simple.
Definitely.
Anyway, that just went off the rails. But yeah.
Coming back to Gears. Okay.
Yeah.
That was my first version of a plan or a roadmap that I will think that they can do.
I think it's a great roadmap, and I think, you know, if these were Vegas betting odds, I'd be betting on your plan. I just, you know, like in the trailer they showed the retro Lancer, which implies that, you know, the main Lancer, which if I recall was initially engineered by Baird, you know, to penetrate the skin of the Locust, because they can take so many damn bullets. Yeah,
they teased actually that we are going to see the origins of the normal Lancer that we know with the chainsaw. So it implies that we're going to see also Tai Kaliso, because like in the comics, the story is that Marcus Phoenix see Tai Kaliso like with a chainsaw killing a Locust. So he comes back with Adam Phoenix and he is like, okay, we need a Lancer with a chainsaw. So Adam Phoenix creates the normal Lancer that we know, like a year or I don't know if it's a year or how much time after the E-Day, but Tai Kaliso is like the inspiration of the original Chainsaw Lancer. So the TC guys teased that we're going to see that scene in this game, like Tai Kaliso. Cool. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to be able to fit Adam Phoenix into it. I can't recall the timeline. Again, it's been years.
He should disappear. Like we should see like the nightmare of Marcus in Gears of War 3 in this game.
Well, Marcus was initially court-martialed because he defied his orders to go try and save his father in the first place, right? That's how he wound up in the slab.
Yeah, we should see that, right? Like how he lost his dad. That should be like part of this game.
You have to be careful with you know, like Patton Oswalt, a comedian that I love.
Yeah.
We kind of became buddies. I've met him a couple times. He said, you know, Star Wars, like, do you want to see Darth Vader as a kid? You know, the prequels. And people are like, I don't know, really, not really.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, hey, you think Angelina Jolie's hot? Do you want to see John Voight's balls? You know, her dad, like that kind of thing, right? So it's one of those things. You know, there's fan service and there's fan service done right. You look at like Mandalorian when you know they're on the ship. And with Gus Fring from fucking what's his name, Giancarlo Esposito, and then you know the X-wing shows up, and that MMA girl's like, "Oh, great, we're saved." But then they have those badass bots that are like trying to beat through the door, and then you know this mysterious hooded figure shows up with a lightsaber, just starts murking all of them, right? And then you know the door opens and it's you know young Luke, you know coming to get Grogu, Baby Yoda. Like that was fan service done right. And somebody actually did a remake of that scene to the classic Bonnie, what's her name song, I Need a Hero. And it sunk up perfectly. And, you know, that's the thing is like you can do some of that, but if you just go too heavily on it, like the scene in, I think it was Rogue One, where Vader is in another hallway.
Yeah.
And he's just full on, just fucking fucking people up, right? And, you know, as Leia's trying to get the Death Star plans away and the doors, you know, shut, and they put the little memory card, you know, through it and everything like that. And then it dovetails right to the end of, you know, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And, you know, Leia turns around and says, we have hope, right? Like, that's the way to do it, right? And I really think, I think they're on the right track with it.
Finally, yeah.
It's far easier to criticize than create. So, you know, and the thing is I think they're going to do a great job.
The cool thing of this is that you are the right person to make a critic of this game, you know, like I kind of feel like in a safe place of listening to the way you have an opinion of all this, because it's like, dude, of course he can have an opinion of whatever is coming out from Gears of War, you know, like that's something that I kind of respect, and it's like your opinion is like the opinion. You know, it was just
it was such a formulative part of my life.
Yeah,
you know, like my first marriage had crumbled. You know, Gears 1 came out. Gears 2, I was in full on, like, you know, date everything I can mood. Yeah. And then Gears 3, Love My Life showed up, and that's Lauren's actually, you know, again cosplaying Gears 3 Anya right downstairs as we speak. Yeah. And it's just, you know, it goes back to the hero's journey. And you know, everyone asks me if I'm working on the new Gears, and I'm like, no, I'm on to the next. I will always love Gears and have it near and dear to my heart, but, you know, like, let me work on other stuff, motherfuckers, you know?
The only thing I really hope they talk to you about is, like, the movie, like, or the series. Like, that's something that I think that you can put your spoon.
Well, I may have mentioned the fact that, you know, Neil Druckmann was, you know, heavily involved with The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you see, you know, Todd Howard was involved with the Fallout series, right? Which was just fantastic. And people online calling the main girl Ella Purnell mid. I'm like, the fuck out of here. This girl's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I loved her Yellow Jackets also. But yeah, it's just one of those things that, you know, let me learn new shit. You know, if I work on a new video game at all, I'm gonna come up with, you know, the IP, create a bunch of design documents, get builds, do what I always did. What I did best, you know. I don't want to get involved in the versus space again, because that's a clusterfuck of everybody competing. You know, you did the whole thing about, like, you know, seasons and battle passes. You know, you look up battle passes on YouTube, and every other video is people being like, this is ruined video games. You know, the idea of games as a service. Yeah. Right, like back when in my day we called it DLC, and maybe I'm being old man yells at cloud right now, but it's just, you know, like people want one game to rule them all, and you look at the way Microsoft, to be fair, has managed Minecraft. They've done a fantastic job of that, you know, and as a result, Minecraft's one of the biggest games of all time. You know, Fortnite's still doing great, you know, but they're just, you know, this. I will say this though, the second I saw they put Marcus Phoenix in it, and they had an animated GIF somebody sent me on Twitter of Marcus Phoenix dancing like a fucking idiot. I was just like,
yeah, our biggest fear, right?
I mean, it's just, you know, it's okay to be, you know, silly, you know, with your IP once in a while, things like that. But with that, it just, that one stung a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I have to say, and I have to give that to Epic right now. I loved killing Goku with Marcus Phoenix several times, you know. I loved killing those kind of characters, and especially Kratos. Killing Kratos with Marcus Phoenix has been a great experience. Fuck off to the other Go franchise.
Gao versus Gao. Right?
Yeah.
The irony is David Jaffe and I are buddies now. But the thing is what Epic is gunning for, I believe, is the whole metaverse. They want Ready Player One, and they have the funds to do it, where they could sub-license anything, and, you know, the powers that be, you know that fucking Fortnite is still big, and he's growing, and it's very well managed, you know, with the unique events they're putting in it, and that's part of making a good game as a service. They have the ecosystem of V-Bucks and whatnot, and you know, more power to them. You know, I mean, that's the way the game is played these days. But I'll be over here in the indie space, you know, making little stuff, because that nonstop treadmill of having to figure out your roadmap as you outlined for what Gears could be. It sounds fucking exhausting, and, you know, I'll be over here with a beer. You know?
By the way, I don't know if that's something you're interested in, but there were several people here on my videos and stuff when we did the first one. They were saying like, hey, do you know if there's a way to grab his stuff in Spanish? You should try to translate like or contract something to translate the stuff of Scrapper and stuff like that, or your book at least. Like people want to read your book here, but they don't really want to learn English. So it's like
No, I don't
like
blame because, like I said, English is very, very difficult. But yeah, I'll actually localization.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Actually, I did. By the time we met, I was creating a lot of documentary stuff for Gears of War, and I did, for example, a documentary that is like a 40 minutes video that talks about Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, but in a dev standpoint, right? So I grabbed a lot of information from your book and from your memories, and a lot of information from another documentaries and stuff that it's on the internet out there, right? And I had like these little details as like the way Mark Rain was kind of aggressive the first time he talked to you, and about like the game dev stuff and how you received all those kind of feedback. And then at the end you were already working with them because you saw like this in the credits, right, of a game. I don't remember which game was that, but you saw in the credits of one game that they were hiring in Epic Games and stuff that like that, right? Like all the story.
I think it was in Jill of the Jungle.
Jill of the Jungle.
Available in my book.
Yeah, and people were like, dude, this story is freaking amazing. Where did you take this all out? And I was like, dude, it's in the credits of the video, but like I actually put your book in the credits and in the description and all those kind of things. People were like, dude, I would love to have that book in Spanish to read it, like, so it's something that probably you should take care of your audience in
thought
Mexico.
the memoir was localized.
Not yet. Not yet. Actually, your publicist, I don't know who that is. The first time that I contacted her, I was like, hey, I would like to make an interview to Cliff Bleszinski because of his book, and I would like to make advertisement, blah, 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 blah. Because you'd send me the first time with your publicist, and she was like, hey, we don't really have like a Spanish version, so we'll contact you when that happens. And that hasn't happened. So now it's good that I don't have to talk to your publicist for that. But
fucking publishers and publicists, man.
Yeah, it's part of life. I understand.
Part of the problem is when you get to a certain level, I'm like, there's like, Taylor Swift, and I'm like here, right?
Of course.
The thing is when you get to that point, same thing with a lot of famous athletes. They wind up surrounding themselves with agents and publicists and blah, 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 blah. And you see like so-and-so signed to a 4-year, $50 million contract. And I'm like, that's a lot of money, but let's do the math here. After taxes, that's 25 million. After agency fees, that's like maybe 15 million. And then you have to deal with publicists and PR and all that stuff. So yeah, the person's netting $10 million, which again is a lot of money, but then they're still killing themselves as an athlete. So let's just say, I hope they invest well. As tomorrow I'm going to go and meet with my bankers for dinner. And the thing is I was lucky that I invested in Oculus, greatest investment of my entire life. But I also invested in Atomontage.
Oh, nice.
Atomontage is essentially Minecraft meets Roblox. And the idea is, they use voxels, not like polygons. So when you actually penetrate a character model, you actually, it has layers, and it's just these micro voxels, and it's pretty well detailed, not as insanely detailed as some of the polygonal stuff right now. But the thing is they're making a game creation platform with voxels where the world is infinitely creatable and destructible. And I think it has a huge amount of potential. That's why, the joke that I always say is, I know a good thing when I see it, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, definitely. So actually, a very interesting Easter egg for the future and the echo of the internet right now in Mexico is Father's Day. So it was kind of not something that I was pretending to do or trying to do, but it's like the father of Gears of War and Father's Day, and we're having this in this day, we're not going to blow this in YouTube, but yeah.
See what you did there. Fun fact is my brother's online handle is Papi Blez.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but because he married a girl whose family is from Zacatecas.
Yeah, you mentioned that last time. Yeah, I remember that you were telling that you were having these rough times with Mexican barbecue.
Yep. Viva la raza. No, it's one of those things that my niece calls me Tio Cliff.
Yeah.
It's just she's an absolute sweetheart, and she's wonderful. But yeah, so the whole thing is I need to make it back to Mexico. I told you last time my horror story.
Yeah.
When I was in the Mayan Riviera, and it's one of those things that it's a beautiful country, and with just beautiful people and amazing food.
Man, I'm telling you.
The whole water situation, y'all gotta fucking figure out,
Yeah, I'm telling you. Right now, part of my job is like grabbing some clients from around the world, and they come here, and then I have to be their tourist guy in order to please my boss, right? So I used to be a
So
tourist guide when I was
you
younger.
have to be the guide to the city, right?
Yeah. And
That's the only way. That's the only way to do a new city is to find somebody who knows it.
yeah, definitely. So part of my job is like getting them drunk. Russians are people that you need to take care of, right? Because they are like, okay, yeah, it was nice, this museum and stuff, or where can we get titties, you know? Like, and it was like, literally the first day they came here, like I was 2 days in a row getting drunk with them and just taking care of them because they were like dropping money out in titty bars, you know? So it was like,
I hope you kept him out of the sun.
of course, yeah, I did. My point here is that I'm waiting for the day that you want to come back to Mexico, but now for Mexico City, because I'm going to have a lot of expertise to give you a very good tourist experience, right? So
My experience in Mexico City is I flew through there once, and it was just, I remember realizing how fucking big it is. It's fucking enormous.
yeah, you need to try like a real experience of that. Hopefully one day.
I had a meeting with Tony Scott because he was potentially going to direct the Gears of War film, right? He even made like an animatic for it before the poor dude jumped off a fucking bridge and killed himself. Rest in peace. Fucking great director.
Yeah,
And he told me he's the one who directed Man on Fire with Denzel Washington and Dakota Fanning. And he said he had to have like his own security detail because everyone knowing that there was this like famous American director and these actors in Mexico City, like the cartels would target them for, ransom and whatnot. And so it's one of those things that if I were to come, I'd try and be as low profile as possible. That said,
trust me, cartel stuff doesn't exist here.
When Rod Ferguson went to Mexico City to promote a Gears thing, he was treated like a golden god.
Yeah. It was. I was part of that experience actually. Like I was part of the team that was creating that experience for him.
And this is what I get for putting a badass, but yet tortured Latino character in a big franchise. Because Carlos did such a great job with Dom, and apparently the Spanish translation guy did too.
And I kind of hate that you're not able to listen or experience like the Spanish version of this because they did Gears of War. I need to explain you this. Gears of War had a big impact in Mexico. I don't know, like, what's your vision of that, or what was your vision back in the day when you were working in Epic? Like, were you aware of the importance of Mexico and Latin America for the franchise itself, or that was not a thing actually?
I just wanted the cast of the game to just show a very diverse group of people, and I know diverse is a dirty word these days.
Yeah.
But it's like you look at Aliens, the movie. You had Vasquez, which to be fair was played by a white girl.
Mm-hmm.
You had fucking Sigourney Weaver, female lead. You had the Black Sergeant, with the cigar, which Halo totally ripped off.
Yeah.
So but it wasn't forced, right? It felt natural. Like, this is the future. You're gonna have all this. It is what it is. And that was kind of what I was gunning for. And at the end of the day, it's a global market. Capitalism is great until it's not, but you want everyone's money.
But was Mexico an important stuff for you? Like, when you were working there, like, Epic was aware of the Mexican market as something important for the Gears of War franchise?
Epic and myself were not aware. Microsoft was.
Okay.
Right? And that's why Microsoft was such a good partner, because they understood it was a global market.
Okay, right? So that's the thing, because I need to tell you the story of why Gears of War was, because I don't know if you've experienced that here when you were here, but if not, next time you're here, you will experience it. People really love and are very passionate for Gears of War here in this city, in this country, and in Latin America in general, right? And that has to do with two very important things. The first one is that the localization stuff that Sebastián Yapur and Ricardo Tejedo did, that are Marcus and Dom here, like, they are such really good voice actors. Over the years, they did a really cool job. And this was the first game that didn't have filters in order to allow them to curse in Spanish and make like a really good localization that had like bad words in our Spanish, not like in a translated Spanish, So it was like very natural. So it was the first actual game that had a real translation in Spanish, and it had an Spanish that was not like fake, it was like a real Spanish. I talked to them and they explained me that it was because they actually had like all this freedom to work on the game the way they wanted to do it. So people connected really fast with this game because they were cursing a lot, and they were making a lot of jokes, and they were like changing the whole dialogues in order to make sense in Spanish more than a translation from English, and wouldn't change the canon, of course. But it was really cool. And after that, a very big thing that made Gears of War grow was piracy. Like, a lot of people got access to Gears of War and stuff because they had like their Xbox 360 in pirate versions. They got their games in pirate versions for the first one, second, and the third one. A lot of people were having like these like cracked versions in PC and all those kind of things. And I had an interview at some point with some people from Microsoft, and they were like, at the time we were fighting against piracy because of course that was a way to lose money. But dude, we can't ignore that was a way to grab millions of fans around the world, like people that were not paying for our material. At the end of the day, when piracy finally like stopped, they were now forced to buy stuff because they love the franchise, right? So
that's the thing is, you know, a lot of people would pirate because they just can't justify spending the $60 US, right?
Yeah, totally.
The thing is they do become fans of it when you give them kind of a seamless experience in regards. So that's why Steam is so big. You know, the whole shut up and take my money meme.
Yeah.
If the friction points are very, very little and the price is reasonable, people will spend the money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, you make it difficult. They're like, fuck you, I'm just going to pirate this. But then if they become big fans, then they're like, okay, I want to support this. You know, that's what Patreon's all about. You know, GoFundMe and things like that.
And it's amazing, like the power of Gears of War. People were saying like, oh, this is the most viewed Gears of War trailer ever. The Gears of War E-Day trailer that they just dropped. And it was like, dude, when Gears of War had this nostalgic stuff after Gears of War Judgment and Gears of War Ultimate Edition and Gears of War 4 was coming here. I don't know if you remember this trailer that was named Tomorrow, where JD was running as a kid and Marcus was like already after the war with Anya and all this kind of thing. Do you remember that trailer?
Yeah, it gave me chills.
That trailer had 20 million views in 1 week. 20 million, like, and people.
Well, you know where that title came from, right?
Finally a Tomorrow, Marcus.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was hard. It was the last time they had hard until this, actually, for me. You know, it was like the last time I felt some passion from the team while creating this kind of stuff. And actually, I have to make a big note here because, I don't know, probably not, but because it has nothing to do with you, but the guy that is directing The Coalition right now is... give me a second. ¿Cómo se llama el director de Coalition ahorita? El head studio? Mike Rump. Mike Rump is the guy that is directing The Coalition right now. I had this thoughts that he was actually the guy that was trying to make Gears of War E-Day prior Gears of War 4, because he was the guy that was, under my understanding, he put the basis for Gears of War Ultimate Edition after Gears of War Judgment, when he was like the head studio for Black Tusk. And Microsoft came and they grabbed Rod Ferguson to come back to The Coalition, and then Mike Rump he was not anymore like the head studio, and he was like the producer or something like that. And then Rod Ferguson had the leads, and he was creating Gears of War Ultimate Edition and then Gears of War 4. So now that Mike Rump is again in like directing everything, I think he finally was able to grab this idea of Gears of War Day, and I think that we're finally on a moment where we can see what another creative's vision, you know, of his version of Gears of War, at least.
I think they're on the right path. And,
definitely, yeah.
More power to them. And, you know, as I said in my tweet, you know, maybe they didn't need me after all, which is fine. You know, it just frees me up to do other stuff.
And it's cool that people finally are not going to be asking like, they need Gears, get Gears.
It gets so fucking old, man.
Yeah,
I always say it's like the guy who was on like a sitcom with a catchphrase, and like people see him at the supermarket, they're like, Urkel, like, can you say, can I do that? You know, it's like, let me do some new shit, man.
And it's really funny because like on the Mexican side of things, like we have different kind of heroes. I remember that when we were back in TwitchCon, someone came to ask for a picture to me. And then I was with you and with the guys that we were in TwitchCon. And then I was like, dude, you know who that is? Forget in Spanish. And I was like, nope. And I was like, he's the Gears of War creator. Like, it's Cliff Bleszinski. I was like, who? Nah, you're shitting me. Like, but he didn't believe me. Like, he didn't believe me that you were the guy that created all this stuff, because he's like on the Mexican side of things, you know? So yeah. He was like, nah, no way, you're shitting me. Because of course I'm a very sarcastic person. and they always think that I'm making a joke of things. So they were like, no, it's not. Shut up. And I was like, dude, he is the guy you should be asking for a picture, not me. And
Was this at the titty bar?
no, at TwitchCon. No, the titty bar, no one mentioned Gears so far. At least no one that I knew about. Yeah. I didn't have enough like private services to ask.
Well played. All right, dude. I gotta start wrapping it up, my friend.
Yeah, man. Something that you like to say to the Gears of War community. Once again, they are watching you, and it's a very big honor for me to be like a bridge between them and you. So I would like to talk to them for a bit, right? I will translate everything on the subtitles.
Yeah, just shout out to everybody who's a fan of Gears. You know, as I said, my quote was, Gears was my baby, and now I'm happy to see my baby is in good hands. We'll see where it goes with Gears 6, but I think E-Day is a brilliant direction, and I appreciate all the support over the years. And, you know, again, I appreciate you admiring and loving my past, but stay tuned for what's next, because I'm still working on new stuff and maybe cracking a joke or two.
In this video, in the description, they will have your book and your comic and all those kind of things. No worries. I always empower all the stuff you craft. I'm a fan of your job. Then always, and thank you for sharing your time with this, and sorry for being late this time.
Yeah, that's some bullshit right there.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for that, man. But thank you for real. I appreciate a lot your existence, and for me it's a very cathartic experience being here, sharing time with you after what we lived during the past year. So yeah,
no problem, man. But you know, keep hustling because you're doing it well.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
All right, take care, buddy.
Have a good one.